Picture someone you know, not the person who cheated you. You understand that person. Not the one who used you. That one had a reason. I mean the other one. The one who cost you something real. Time, money, energy, trust. And when it was over, when you finally stepped back and looked at the wreckage, you realized they had gained nothing from it either. Nothing. They did not profit, they did not advance, they did not even enjoy it. They just left a hole. In your project, in your week, in your sense that things work the way they should. And you stood there thinking, why? What was that for? You never found the answer, because there was no answer. And that absence is what makes them the most dangerous person you will ever deal with. In 1976, an economic historian at Berkeley wrote something he did not intend anyone to read. Carlo Cipolla printed a short essay in a private, numbered edition, handed to friends, never translated, never submitted to a journal. He called it The Basic Laws of Human Stupidity. He treated it like a joke. It is not a joke. It is the most useful diagnostic you have never been given. What follows is a framework built on one definition, 5 laws, and a graph you can draw on a napkin. It will permanently change who you are afraid of. And at the very end, it will ask you to locate yourself on the graph, which is the part almost no one does, honestly. Ready? Let's do it.
This is an artificially aware original production.
Cipolla spent his career trying to explain why that person, the one who cost you something and walked away with nothing, exists. He studied how economies work and why they fail. Not the dramatic failures you read about in textbooks, the crashes, the wars, the quiet ones, the slow bleeds, the kind where everything still looks fine on the surface and you cannot point to what is wrong, but year by year, the weight gets heavier and nobody can name it. He found the weight. It was not greed. Greed follows a logic. It moves wealth but does not destroy it. It was not incompetence in the usual sense. Incompetence is uneven, improvable, and tends to correct when the feedback is strong enough. What he found was something that operated across every population, every institution, every century, at a fixed rate, with zero correction, and total immunity to intervention. He needed a word for it. The word he chose was stupid, but he did not mean what you mean when you say it. Forget everything the word has meant to you until now. Cipolla's definition operates on a completely different axis. It has nothing to do with how fast you think, how much you know, or how well you speak. It is about one thing only: what your actions do to the ledger. Every time you act, 2 accounts move: yours and someone else's. You gain or you lose. They gain or they lose. That is it. The whole framework is built on this. The third basic law, Cipolla calls it the golden law. A stupid person is one who causes losses to others while deriving no gain for themselves. No gain. That is what separates this from every other category. A thief costs you something, but walks away richer. You can understand that. The stupid person costs you and walks away with nothing. They did not even want anything. There was no play, there was no move. There was just your loss, distributed outward with nothing at the center. Now the second law, and this is where it starts to bite. The probability that a person is stupid is independent of any other characteristic of that person. Independent. Not correlated with education, not correlated with wealth, not correlated with social class, job title, political affiliation, or how articulate they sound at dinner. Cipolla tested this across every group he could reach: blue-collar workers, students, executives, professors, Nobel Prize winners. The same fraction, every single time. You have been sorting people your whole life. Smart ones here, dumb ones there. The credentials go in this pile, the dropouts in that one. Cipolla's data says the sorting is useless. The fraction is constant across every pile you have ever made. The graph is simple. Horizontal, your gain or loss. Vertical, their gain or loss. 4 areas. Upper right, intelligent. You gain, they gain. Your actions improve both ledgers. This is the quadrant you would place yourself in if I asked right now. Hold that thought. Upper left, helpless. You lose, they gain. Your actions benefit others at your own expense. You have a friend like this. You might be this friend. They give too much, charge too little, say yes when they mean no. They absorb other people's consequences as if that were a personality trait, rather than a position on a graph. Lower right, bandit. You gain, they lose. Classic extraction. You know this person. Your landlord, your algorithm, your ex, whoever took something from you in a way that left them measurably better off. The bandit is unpleasant but legible. You can see the mechanism. You can plan around it. Hold that word, legible. It is about to matter. Lower left, stupid. They lose. You gain nothing. Or you lose too. Net destruction with no beneficiary, no transfer of value, no winner, just less afterward for everyone. And the person responsible does not know why, does not care why, and will do it again tomorrow in exactly the same way. Here is the structural difference. Bandits scatter across their quadrant, some worse, some better, a whole range. Stupid people cluster on a line. They are consistent in every context, across every domain of off days and on days. They have one mode. Cipolla's word, unwavering. You are intelligent, or at least you operate in the intelligent quadrant often enough that your self-image sits there comfortably. And your intelligence has been telling you a story about how the world works. People act in their own interest. If you can find the interest, you can predict the behavior. If you can predict the behavior, you can defend against it. Against a bandit, this works. Their behavior follows a nasty but functional logic. You can build a model of what they want. You can find leverage. You can negotiate, compete, or leave. Your intelligence is designed for this kind of threat. Against a stupid person, your intelligence is useless. Worse, it is a liability, because you will spend time building a model of a mind that contains no model. You will search for the strategy behind behavior that has no strategy. You will give them the benefit of the doubt. One more conversation, one more chance, one more attempt to find the rational structure that must be in there somewhere. It is not in there. Against stupidity, the gods themselves fight in vain. Not cruelty, not power, stupidity. Because cruelty has a structure you can oppose. Stupidity has no structure at all. You cannot outthink nothing. You cannot outmaneuver a void. And that is how they win. Not by outplaying you, by being unplayable. You designed your entire defense around predicting rational actors. They walk through it like it is not there. And the worst part, Cipolla's fourth law. Non-stupid people always underestimate the damaging power of stupid individuals. Always, at all times, in all places, under any circumstances. The interaction infallibly turns out to be a costly mistake. Not sometimes, every time. Because your intelligence tells you it will be different this time. Your intelligence is wrong. Scale this up. Every society contains the same fraction of stupid people. Rising ones, declining ones, golden ages and dark ages. The percentage never changes. So the difference between a civilization that builds and one that crumbles has nothing to do with how many stupid people it has. It has to do with you, with whether the people producing value, you, your colleagues, the ones who move both ledgers upward, are still active enough to absorb the constant drag. In a rising system, you can carry the losses. The surplus is large enough. Even the bandits produce something on the way to extracting, so the net stays positive. The machine climbs despite the weight. In a declining one, people like you withdraw, or get pushed out, or stop building because the system no longer rewards it. The bandits stop producing altogether. Pure extraction, zero creation. The helpless multiply because initiative gets punished. And the stupid, who were always there at the same fixed rate, now face nothing that contains them. Same disease. Weaker immune system. The stupid fraction did not get stronger. Everyone else got weaker. And that is the final answer to the question in the title. Stupid people always win because they never needed the system to work in their favor. They just needed it to stop working in yours. Every person watching this video has already sorted the people in their life onto this graph. That took about 90 seconds. It required no courage at all. Now put yourself on it. Not where you intend to be, not where you believe you belong, where your actions, weighted, averaged, measured by the people on the other end of them, actually land over the past month, the past year, in the relationships that matter. Is there a relationship in your life where your consistent effect on the other person, not your intention, your effect, has been a loss, and where you gained nothing from it? Not malice, not strategy, just a slow drain. Their patience, their time, their trust, leaking out of the interaction month after month with nothing flowing back. You did not plan it, you did not choose it. But if someone handed the other person this graph and said, "Mark where they fall," would they hesitate over the quadrant you have been assigning to other people all evening? The fourth law does not stop at the people around you. It applies inward. You will underestimate the damage you do when you are operating in that quadrant, because the same law that blinds you to others blinds you to yourself. Cipolla refused to publish this for 12 years. He thought people would use it to feel clever. Most people will. That is the reading that costs you nothing and teaches you nothing and lets you walk away feeling exactly the same as when you arrived. The other reading is harder. You are inside systems, every day, at every level, where a constant fraction of behavior generates losses that nobody captures. You cannot reform it. You cannot argue with it. You cannot educate it out of existence. It is distributed uniformly across every population you will ever encounter, and it is always larger than you estimated. The only defense is recognition. Before the project starts, before the partnership forms, before the third conversation where you tell yourself there must be a rational explanation for what just happened. There is no rational explanation. That is the explanation. Here is your assignment. One person, someone you have been misreading, explaining their behavior as anger or insecurity or bad luck or a grudge you cannot trace, someone whose damage has no beneficiary. Put them on the graph. Drop the letter in the comments, not their name. The letter. And if the letter that comes to mind is not the one you expected, if you find yourself hesitating over a quadrant you did not plan to visit, that is not a glitch. That is the essay working exactly the way Cipolla designed it. Quietly, privately, on the one person who was never supposed to read it about themselves.